My name is Stephen and this is my channel, Heart's Delight Exports. Okay, so I'm down in the shop today and I'm getting ready to start a bit of a special project. I'm not sure if I've got the other Christmas present project released yet or not, but in this one I'm making another Christmas present project that's almost a month late. Really sorry for that, by the way. I know you might see this, but time got away from me and I was indecisive. So today I'm going to try to turn this. No, I didn't earn that. I'm going to take the glass out of this. I'm going to take this socket for a chandelier and a cord that looks a lot better than this one. And I'm going to make a nice little light up sign for a friend of mine. So now I need to select some material that's at least 11 inches wide by 8 3/8, I think I said. I have my top and bottom laid out. You can see I got a mark on both ends. That's because none of this is anything close to square. So I marked out the top and bottom at 11 inches. It's got to come back down to 10 7/8. So I might even go a little bit more than that right yet, just because I have it there and I need to cut a rabbet for that glass to fit in. I'm also going to need that rabbet to hold the boards that's going to fit in front of it. The idea is to have the design cut out of wood in the front, have the glass painted, and have the light shine through the painted glass and light up the symbol in the front. Sounds simple enough, right? Let's hope it is. I need to cut all these gross edges off. This side's even worse. I need to cut those edges off and make sure that these are nice and perfectly flat, so that when I go to glue these together and make one piece, that I got one very nice, very tightly fitted piece. As you can see right now, I got some big gaps here. This isn't going to work. So I decided that before I start cutting things to length here, I'd actually try to do the miters first. Seems like a better idea after thinking about it, that leave the extra length on there, so that if I screw up the miters, I actually got some extra length to work with. So let's start giving this a shot. Seems like it'll come together pretty good. It took a couple of cuts to get into it. The end is a little fuzzy. Not sure what kind of wood that is. Certainly got a smell to it. More wood in the scrap pile. Finding the miter slot And this is pretty loose, pretty sloppy. Judging by the fact that my pencil line is right here on the edge, maybe I did learn something after all. Now there's some room for some manipulation here. That frame is not perfectly on there, off by just a little bit, but sanding will improve that a lot. And I still have to make rabbits. No, not bunny rabbits. The other kind of rabbits. I want to get this band clamp adjusted to within a ½ inch or so of what I need before I start tightening down. That'll get me my shape. Take two sides out of it for the moment. So after a lot of sanding, I took the wood from looking like this to looking like this. This is the back panel. Super smooth. Not sure what wood this is, but it cleans up some mess. Getting a bit too wavy there. Now I got too much paint on it all. I'll have to come back with another coat, leaving it out later. I knew I'd make something out of that washer part. Okay, so if you just seen the time lapse, you saw me carving out these little plugs. I got two of them because I'm going to put a base to my light box that's a couple inches up off the ground. But before I get to much more assembly, I actually have to drill a hole straight through this guy. I'm going to feed the wire down through the box, down through the leg, and down through the base and out the back of the base to help make the wires more invisible. So these two will be glued in like this. You can see where the wire will come out on the back there. But in order for that to work, I first have to drill a hole through this. Right, so that elongates the hole in the base a little. The hole was dead center here. That's what the pilot hole of the hole saw does. But now I can feed it right up through. I want to keep a sensible length of cord between the base and that piece, between the base and the switch. Now, I've screwed in the back. One screw is all it's going to take to hold that in place. It's otherwise nice and tight. But now I have to figure out where I need to put the hole, in the bottom of this box so that everything lines up. This part's a little bit more annoying and difficult. Now that I know where it needs to be, tighten it up a little bit so it don't come loose. So what I need to do right now for this one in particular is to drill a pilot hole all the way through, because this is where my wire is going to come through. Now, unfortunately, on this side, I don't have that luxury, so I'm going to have to rely on measurements there and figure this out a different way. But at least on this side I got a pilot hole. I just need to be careful of my depth, because it'll be very easy to go all the way through. There's the front plate. It might fall out at any second, but it's not glued in yet. The glass is not ready yet either, so the next thing I need to do is chamfer the bottom here. I want to put a nice decorative edge on all four sides. Maybe I'll use Roman OG bit, I don't know. Then I need to mark out what I'm carving out on this guy. And you see that I got some nail holes there from when this was a pallet. I'm going to have to see if my carving will cover them up, in which case I'm doing great. Most likely this is not going to be covered up by the carvings, especially the four there on the corners. I'd like to say that it's going to be covered up by molding that'll go in afterwards, but the molding I have intended to put on there is not going to go in that far. So it's not likely that it's going to be covered up by molding, which means I need to deal with it in some other way. So that's the next couple of steps. Chamfer the base, securing the front plate here and the glass once I have my design cut out of this plate. I'm getting very close to being finished now. going to look pretty good. It's time to start finishing some of the electrical. Next part I need is this. It's a simple little wooden block. I'm going to glue this to the inside of the box. I drilled a hole all the way through on that side. That'll help me align this piece. And I drilled a hole through the side to get the wire to go through. And what I'm going to do is run the wire up through the base, up through that hollow leg that I made, and in through the side. It'll come in through here and up through this. That's when I get into store-bought products. This is what's going to light up the whole thing. It's a replacement socket. As you can see up here in the picture, it's for a chandelier. It takes very small light bulbs. I actually got one in here. This is a standard night light bulb. So what'll happen once this is mounted inside, this has a nut base onto it, and it'll just screw right down. It'll actually screw on there nice and tight. Doesn't need to be super tight, it just needs to be on there. Now, it's a little bit out of alignment, it's a little bit twisted. That's because I didn't get that little nib on the bottom in there perfectly straight. But once the wire goes up through, the hole here, I had to keep enough room for the wires to split, and one hooks on this side, one hooks on this side, and then I can put the little cardboard protector sleeve back onto it. I'll wrap it in tape, and electrical tape, just to make sure everything stays where I want it. Then I can give it another twist or two to make sure it's nice and tight on the bottom. Managed to get everything glued up. Legs are on there nice and solid. I did a little profile on the base here. Now off camera, let's see if I can, there we are. Off camera, I added these little L brackets to help reinforce the corners. I was very much thinking of putting splines into this to reinforce the corners, but I don't think that really suits this project. It's the type of project that you're looking at the face of it, you're not going to look at the sides of it, you're not going to ever see the internals. So it's, in this case, it's better to reinforce it inside. That way I can keep the uniform grain pattern of the corners. Those jointed very nicely. Okay, so stick around, it's almost over. Maybe someday I'll learn that too.